Hi guys, this is Kenneth, and we're going to be taking a look at a comprehensive guide to the Summoner. And well, this has been a long time waiting because Summoner is a very interesting class to sink your teeth into. It's all about timing, and it is a lot of people call it the Ruin Mage. And yes, that was very relevant. So like and before this patch, but it's not. It's sadly you're not spamming Ruin 3 in Dreadworm Trance anymore, which a lot of people might be upset about that. I personally find it makes the class a lot more complete and has more of an identity aside from just Ruin spam. Alright, now a couple things had changed in this patch. For example, before Ruin 1 was our main filler. Now it's Ruin 3, and of course its potency has been reduced, as well as its cast time and mana cost, to that of what original Ruin was originally. Ruin 2 is still in our spellbook, but also has the added benefit of being upgraded to Ruin 4 through Enhanced Ruin at level 62. Enhanced Ruin 2 at level 62. Basically, what this does is originally was Ruin Mastery, or rather, Ruin Mastery is at level 54, and this is originally Empower or Ruination, or something like that. But basically, it grants a 15% chance that a pet action will trigger originally Ruin 1 or Ruin 3, upgrading to Ruin 4. Um, well, how it works now is it's just Ruin 2 becomes Ruin 4, and the spell Ruin 4 has changed to fit the change, or fit this difference. Now Ruin 4 is an instant cast with the same damage potency and can only be executable under the effects of further Ruin. Um, Bahamut is one of the main things we have for level 70 Summoner, and that's why it becomes a lot more timing based. Because you have Worm Rave, which is executed basically it's only executed when Demi Bahamut is summoned, and it's the reason that's why timing's so important. Achmorn is basically, that's what the Enkindle Bahamut does. It allows you to cast Achmorn, which is insane. It's basically foul for Summoner. Alright, so how do we go about summoning Bahamut? Well, that's a good question. You see this shit up here? Yeah, it's Dreadworm Ether. You need to have two of those, or two stacks, which actually makes the dragon, it looks pretty cool when you get it. Sadly, Bahamut doesn't last very long, but you can summon him every 20 seconds, so he effectively, with his duration, only has a 10-second cooldown, which is pretty nice. And then just basically get off every global cooldown you can during his duration. So we are going to actually take a look at the rotation, and while we're doing that, we're going to talk over the stats before we actually start getting into the rotation. And also some other rules and caveats that you want to keep in mind. Alright. So, what do we have here? Like, our stats are pretty weird. Like this, normally you'd think a summoner or dot class would want a lot of spell speed. That's almost where you're wrong. Spell speed is really good because it affects the casting and recasting timers. It also affects damage over time spells or healing over time potency. Basically, spell speed makes them tick a lot harder. So you do want a lot of it. You do on at least 1100. After that, you want critical hit and direct hit, determination, Spartu linear scaling to really be worth anything. You need a shitload of it for it to be even useful. So what we have here is critical hit is, well, you want a very high amount. And generally all your melds on your gear you want to be critical hit unless you need something otherwise. In that case, you're just doing direct hit. So the Alamigon gear, the Alamigon Code of Casting, is a very ideal piece for a summoner because it's just perfectly itemized. Hell, even this little book here, even though it's got Determination, which is kind of nasty, it's still got a lot of critical hit, which is really nice. Alright, so what do you want to do for the rotation? Alright, tell you what, you want to at least ideally have one stack of Dreadworm Ether before you do this. I've already gone and taken the liberty of doing this. Want to summon Garuda, which I should have done earlier. And we are going to actually precast Try Disaster, Bane, Pain Flare, Ruin 3, Ruin 3, Ruin 4, Pain Flare. Right? And now we're going to go into the fun part of the summoner rotation with Bahamut. And generally you want to have ether flow up. It really doesn't matter anymore. It's how it used to be last patch at least. Main thing is just trying to dish out as much damage as possible and really taking advantage of the windows. And since this is a mostly AoE setting, like with the dummies, it's going to be more, using AoE abilities like Pain Flare, Bane, Tribind, especially. The Flare. All right. And like, if you like, a lot of you may be wondering, what the hell, Kenneth? This looks really easy. Well, it is. It's a very easy spec to play. It just requires a little bit of micromanagement, and that's a part a lot of people really kind of have problems with. Overall, it's an incredibly rewarding spec to play, and I really do encourage a lot of you to look into the Summoner potentially, because it definitely is a lot of fun. And I just want to spam Tribind, Ruin 4, Tribind, Ruin 4, Death Flare, pop Contagion before I go into this. Alright, gonna drop Shadow Flare, and cutting a little close here. We're gonna try to hopefully get another crit for Ackwarn, and we did not. And we're gonna cast Enkindle again. And that's basically the gist of the Summoner. It's pretty easy. It's kind of spammy and repetitive, but what are most casters, yeah? If you noticed, I do spam Ruin a bit, but it's almost better to, like, when you have Bahamut out, spam Ruin, and just try to get anything cast. It's still good to have. Overall, you do want to generally try to line up Etherflow and Try Disaster with Bahamut summons, because it does make it to where you don't have to refresh your dots, but during that, it's just, and still have Ruination, so you can spam Ruin and get away with it. Overall, generally in AoE, the better pet to have, oddly enough, well, not oddly enough, Perfect Foot really is Ifrit. Mainly because Enkindle Ifrit's pretty damn good. But Ifrit, you just have it on sick the whole time. It's really all I can say. And yeah, that's basically the gist of the Summoner. It's a little bit of a shorter guide, so mainly I just wanted to cover over the rotation, and I went into both AoE and single target. Single target's it's really a snooze fest. AoE, there's a lot more to do and keep track of. And like always, like, comment, and subscribe, and if you have any more questions for any other classes you'd like me to cover, leave them in the comments below and I will get to it. Alright, peace.